How's it going, everyone? My name's Tom. Some of you might recognize me, some of you probably won't. I run a YouTube channel called Tom Rich, where I focus on photography and filmmaking, tips and tricks, that type of thing. Today I'm super excited because I partnered with SANDMARC to make a video for their macro lens about shooting some creative inside content using just your iPhone, and again using this macro lens to its full potential to get some super close-up cinematic shots. We're going to be going through some tips and tricks for iPhone shooting to help you create a sequence that looks just like this one. So for this shot, what I've done is I've taken off the macro lens, and I think that's an important sort of tip here, is that if you are using a little lens or attachment or piece of gear like this, is don't fall into the trap of just like using on every single shot. You don't need to use it on every single shot, just use it on the shots which feel right. So I've taken it off. I want this to be a little bit wider, and I've actually got this sort of I think it's actually just like a food lazy Susan, so like something which you put food on, but I'm using it as a product spinner. So I'm going to spin the laptop and hopefully get a sort of panning out shot of the laptop whilst it's spinning. I've got another tip for you. If you are in a controlled lighting environment like I am here, a super useful tip is to open the camera app and obviously select video, and then you can tap and hold and then drag. I'm not sure if you can see that. So we can tap and hold and then drag the exposure down, and you'll actually get a clip, an exposure decrease or increase based on where your thumbs are. It's a super useful tip for iPhone filmmaking. Alright guys, just a super quick one on the sort of setup here. So obviously I have my iPhone, this is the XS Plus, I believe. They also of course do these lenses, SANDMARC do these lenses for like the iPhone 11, etc. So the way they adapt onto the cases is really, really nice. So I just wanted to sort of give a very quick example of that. So basically, this is the case that comes when you purchase one of these lenses. I'm going to try and do this with one hand, but the case just sort of snaps on to your iPhone like this, and then you get obviously a decent sort of plastic iPhone case, but then you have the lens here, and it comes with sort of a protective cap on both sides. So if we take those off, all right, so I just had to just do that with two hands, so I put the camera down for a second. But basically what we can now do is we have this lens taken out, and that just screws directly, so it has a thread on the back here, and that just screws directly into the thread on the back of the case. Again, let me try and do this with one hand. There we go, just like that. And then that is sitting nice and flush on the back of the case here, and you can just unscrew and screw that on or off super quickly. So it's a super convenient little lens solution. Right, you might notice in here that it just got super dark, and that's because I dimmed the studio light that I've got here. Let me brighten that up. There we go, that's a bit better. So I did that in order to get a slow motion shot of the keyboard lighting, and something which is sort of a byproduct of using this macro lens is that you can use it to get really good depth of field, which isn't normally possible using the iPhone camera. So by doing a motion, like sort of going close on the keyboard and zooming out, you are able to sort of emphasize that, that depth of field and that blur for a much more cinematic clip. Alright guys, just a couple of pointers whilst we talk about this clip. So first of all is I shot the entire thing in vertical. That was an intentional decision. I personally think iPhone filmmaking, like I would always shoot videos with a camera like I'm doing right now, landscape, and I think it's sometimes good to mix it up with iPhone videos to shoot them vertical, to shoot them portrait like this. So that was a choice. The next is to talk about frame rate and to consider the frame rate that you're choosing. I shot this entire sequence at 1080p in 60 frames a second, which is going to give me the option in post, if I want to slow down that footage to over 2 times, because I'm going to edit the timeline in 25 frames a second. That's basically just a big advantage. It means that I'm going to have more customization and more flexibility in post. The iPhone also can record in 120 frames a second, and you can get even more creative with your frame rates. Just choose what is sort of best for you. If you are shooting in 120 frames a second or even 240 frames a second, I would just recommend that you don't do it for every single shot. Like if you do use slow motion, use it a little bit sparingly because it can get a bit tiring. Another little tip, which I didn't actually use in this sequence, but I have used in sequences a lot otherwise, is to use like a towel or a cloth or something as your mount on a surface, and then you can pull back and you basically use it like almost like a little table stabilizer or dolly. And just by sort of sliding on that surface, you're going to have way more stability and your motion's going to look a lot better. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little tips and tricks video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. My channel will be linked down there as well if you're interested in checking any of my content out. Like I said, I'll be down in the comment section as well. So if you do have any questions, just throw them in there, and I'll catch you guys next time.